Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, CNBC News Radio, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, iTunes, and more, because this is a show about hope and happiness, and I want you to be happy 88% of the time. Why not 100%? Well, if you were 100% happy, you'd be dead. Don't want dead people walking around. And 8 is actually a lucky number in Chinese. It's a homonym for good fortune. It's that you have a birthright to happiness 88% of the time. So that's your double good fortune. That's why I like to start the show every day with a little bit of hope and happiness. So usually that means it's a national something today, and a little bit of trivia for you to take to the day, and for the deliciousness of life, permission to have some kind of food or beverage. So today is no exception. It is November the 19th, National Carbonated Beverage with Caffeine Day. So can't have root beer. You can have Dr. Pepper. You can have Diet Coke. You can have Coke. Anything with carbonated gases and caffeine. So I know, probably not the healthiest choice, but hey, one day out of the year, it's not going to kill you. And I'm all about balance too. I believe that there's so many things to experience in life. To say I'm never going to have this or that, or never going to experience this or that, is shortchanging yourself. So I want you to have as many stops on the joyride of your life, including experiencing the deliciousness of life. All right, what else day is it? It is National Play Monopoly Day. And those of you who know me, I love playing games, all kinds of games. I love to also win. I have a little bit of a competitive streak. I say things like, it's not whether you win or lose, it's whether I win or lose, which doesn't always translate into nice. That's not true. I'm nice. I'm not a sore loser, but I am a very good winner. So play Monopoly. There's also Monopoly cards now that I love to play with my family. Also, if you missed my interview with the founder of or creator of Pictionary, go to my YouTube channel and download that. It's a really interesting interview with Rob Angel. And finally, it is Substitute Educators Day. So American Education Week, which this was, wraps up in recognition of teachers and administrators by recognizing Substitute Educators Day. It occurs the Friday before Thanksgiving each year and highlights the important role substitute teachers play in education. According to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, there are over 500,000 educators. There are over 500,000 substitute teachers in 2020. I think that was BC 19, the time before COVID. So will be interesting to see what that update is. All right. So those are the nationals that you can celebrate today. Remember that it's always good to celebrate self-care every single day. So in the spirit of self-care, besides having the carbonated, caffeinated beverages. So I know you're already pretty happy today because it is Friday, but I would like you to capture this feeling of Friday every single day. So today, pick something that you enjoy doing that doesn't necessarily cost a lot of money. So if you love a hot shower, if you love taking walks on the beach, if you love just petting a puppy, if you love playing with your kids or grandkids or the neighbor's kids, something that you like to do that doesn't cost a lot of money, and see if you can't capture that feeling, that Friday feeling, and bring it into every single day. That's your Happy 88 challenge. Okay? And when we come back, I'm so delighted to have a plethora of on location hashtag Dr. Marissa reporting live clips for you. The first event that I'm going to share is Scape the Vape. Cal Optima partnered with American Cancer Society and invited hundreds of Orange County K-12 students and their families to take part in Escape the Vape. And following those clips, I covered a really great event the day before. I met two rappers as well as Sweet Alice at this event at the city of Hawthorne. When we come back on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News Radio, CNBC News Radio, NBC Sports, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Audible, and the list goes on. And of course, you can also get me streaming on kcaaradio.com. That streams to over 100 nations, as well as my YouTube channel, which if you free subscribe, you'll get an alert at 8 a.m. every morning when a new show drops. And you'll also get tons of, there's a playlist of me singing. Yes, I'm a retired lounge lizard. So you'll get that, as well as my new short film, the new PPP, Post-Pandemic Possibilities, as well as my red carpet interviews with the beautiful Halle Berry, who's coming out in another new movie, John Travolta. What a guy. I have to say, it was just delightful meeting him. And of course, my favorite, Quincy Jones. All those and more on my free subscribe YouTube channel. And as promised, I'm going to bring you a great event that I got to cover. It was called Scape the Vape. Cal Optima partnered with American Cancer Society and invited hundreds of Orange County K-12 students and their families to take part in Escape the Vape, a fun-filled educational event encouraging them to commit to smoke and vape-free lifestyles and to warn about the dangers of vaping. And the second set of B-roll that I wanted to bring you is a really great event that happened at the city of Hawthorne. And you know that I'm all about solutions instead of reporting news that gets you upset and shaking your head and saying the whole world is going to hell in a handbasket. Instead, I want to bring you solution. And the Telehealth Van, a company started by two rappers, Dion, Rambo, and YG, two entrepreneurs who have had much success, wanted to come and give back and help underserved communities. And you know me, I love when people with limelight take their light and then shine it in areas of temporary darkness. So enjoy those clips as well.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Escape the
Perfect. So awesome. Instead of vaping, I'd rather, and these kids are filling it out. Let's come closer and see what they're saying. Instead of vaping, I go to the park. I have a slushy party. I go to Disneyland. I take a hike. We had take a hike day the other day. I dance. Take my tortoise for a walk. Wonderful. Talk to friends. This is awesome. This is Cal Optima's event here at the Ponderosa Center. And we're just about to hear the mayor speak and at this really great event. Someone very special who's putting on an event today that I want you all to know about. Please introduce yourself and tell me why you're here.
Sure. My name is Shira Jones. I'm the Director of Population Health Management at Cal Optima. We're here today celebrating the Great American Smokeout. It's our third annual Scape the Vape, where we like to provide prevention, educational messages to middle school, high schoolers. We're hoping to increase tobacco prevention by being enthusiastic and having a lot of fun. We have poster contests. We have Curious George is here. So we just want to bring some fun while we're delivering a good message to young people. We want to stop the vaping before it even starts.
That's awesome. How do people support this, find out more?
Sure. Well, this is actually celebrated the third Thursday of every November. Great American Smokeout has been going on with the American Cancer Society for over 40 years. Cal Optima, we have started doing this annual event here at the Ponderosa Family Resource Center. This is our third year. You can check us out on our website, www.caloptima.org. So any one of those ways you can come out, participate, or find out what we're doing next.
Fantastic. I'm going to give you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award for the work that you're doing. Keep it up.
Thank you so much.
Of course. And I do this little peace in,
okay,
peace out.
Oh, I did
world,
peace out. Okay.
World peace through inner peace.
Through inner peace. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Hi kids! Welcome here. This is a great event. It's all about, people say smoking. Guess what? You're going to repeat after me. Smoking is bad, right? Smoking is bad. Vaping is bad. And you have never going to smoke. Got it. I'm going to share something with you.
This is Dr. Marissa reporting live. You know me as the Asian Oprah, and I'm here always highlighting what's right about the world, what's right about the community, what's right about politicians. And I have a mayor here and Curious George. Tell me who you are and what you're doing here.
My name is Harry Sidhu. I'm Mayor of Anaheim. I'm here at Ponderosa Park right here. Talk to the kids that, vape is not a good thing. Before you start taking that vape in your mouth, listen to everything what goes on around vape. Vape can cause cancer. All these tobacco companies, what they're doing, they were selling cigarettes, now their sales are down. They're finding other ways and promoting the vapes by saying, this does not cause a cancer, but it does.
Yes.
Quick, before you start smoking the vape, this is the reason I'm here to promote absolutely tobacco. Any kind of product of tobacco is not good.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Curious George, do you agree with the mayor? Yes, he does. All right. So this is what I do at the end of every show. Mayor Garcetti actually did this too. Peace in, if you could do this with me. Peace out. World peace through inner peace. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Dr. Marissa reporting live here at Ponderosa Park. If you want to hear more about what this is all about, you can go to Cal Optima. That's who is sponsoring this event in the community. And yeah, I just love covering great events.
Thank you.
Van on 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Vision with passion and enthusiasm, such as Dion and his team, to come out and give this a shot with us in Hawthorne. Our officers are coming across individuals every day that are in need. And one of the messages that I always try to convey to our officers is that every person has their own story of how they got there. Sometimes we tend to use sound bites or whatever, and we just put everybody together, and we assume that people experiencing homelessness are a certain way, or every person is an individual, and we have to treat them with empathy and compassion. We've changed our organization from the past of law enforcement first to public safety first, and with that comes partnerships and relationships. So it is exciting. I'm very honored to be here, and I've told Dion many times here that I'm here to make sure that him and his team succeed, not the other way around. Right? We're here for him and his team to make sure that we can help people.
Do it, right? We can't just sit around and wait for people in high offices. We don't have time to judge. We don't have time to vote. We have to do something. And when two entrepreneurs came together and said, what can we do now for us? One van turned to a fleet, and the city of Hawthorne, honestly, is the first city to trust us. Right. We're like meeting and talking all the time, and he's rarely a part of something himself. You know, he might toss some funds or he might toss his team, but like literally no one's helping make decisions but like this guy right here on if something's going to work or not. So I really appreciate YG, but I wanted you to talk a little bit about why you're passionate about telehealth, why even come to this.
I know, but you know what I'm saying, I'm a proud co-owner of Telehealth. You know what I'm saying? Dion, thank you for doing everything you're doing for the people, for the city. I'm also from, you know, Los Angeles County, and I affect, you know what I'm saying, the jail stuff can have on somebody when they don't got the opportunities in life, you know what I'm saying, because of where they from or you feel me, their household situation and all that. So like my whole thing is like how we figure out how to keep people out of jail for like petty things. It's really, you shouldn't be in jail for it, you know what I'm saying? Is my mission, and it's serious, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, we finna do that with telehealth. We changing lives every day, you know what I'm saying? We giving back, providing service to the communities, and nobody else is doing it.
So I want to bring up UCLA research, then I want to bring up Oracle's reps and talk about, if you guys don't mind, just talk briefly about why is the TelehealthVan program, especially in Hawthorne, what your goal is for what you do.
Thank you. Professor at Charles R. Drew University. The UCLA Center for Behavioral and Addiction Medicine, known as CBAM, is a multidisciplinary center that seeks to advance the prevention and treatment of chronic illnesses, especially in communities with health disparities. We work at the intersection of academia and community with a focus on treating addictions and preventing the spread of HIV. In our pursuit of our mission, today CBAM is excited to continue to partner and support TelehealthVan to utilize data insights to approach the treatment of chronic illnesses and mental health disparities in Hawthorne. Hawthorne will serve as the test case. The reality on the ground is that people who are experiencing homelessness are not hard to reach, they are hardly reached. Dion, the work of TelehealthVan, that's right. Dion, the work of TelehealthVan to link and support folks with critically important wraparound services is a vital solution to solving this crisis of homelessness. We are excited to continue to collaborate with you and to build the infrastructure of TelehealthVan.
Good morning, this is Dr. Marissa reporting live. You know me as the Asian Oprah, and I'm here on the red carpet with some really cool people. And this is a rapper who's involved with an effort to help people in the community. Could you introduce yourself and tell me why you're here?
My name is YG, and I'm here to change lives, to help change lives in my city. How you doing?
All right, the sweet Alice over here. Yes,
Yeah.
and this is especially important because it's tracking and helping people who don't normally get help. Right. So, tell me what you want people to know.
We got a service that we're providing to all the communities out here, and it's needed. You know what I'm saying? We all just went through a global pandemic. Like everything changed for a lot of people. A lot changed, and people need help. and we got a service, TelehealthVan, that's providing help in all different spaces like mental health, probation,
medical insurance, the whole nine.
Medical insurance, everything.
Come back on the 23rd, coming back on the 23rd, and we're giving out 400 turkeys. We're going to bring all of them that need a turkey. They free. Bring them on to parents to watch.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dion, thank you for what you're doing.
No problem.
Both of you get Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award, including $3.
Yes.
Thank you. Peace out. World peace through inner peace.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Super great, right? I just love my job. I love that I get to take stories that are positive. They're not, if it bleeds, it leads. What's interesting always is when I'm called by my New York news agency to cover things, it's sad. But those two stories had no major news vans there. I was the most major news coverage of those events, which is wrong. The majors did not come to support or to highlight, and I'm just glad that I was there to at least bring you all the good things that are happening and all the solutions that are happening to #BeTheChange. All right. And when we come back, my spotlight interview, of course, is another person who, with his voice, with his being, Dion mentioned that Dion mentioned Martin Luther King, and I thought, you know what? This would be a good spotlight interview to do. It's Gerald Rivers, wonderful friend of mine, who sounds and almost becomes Dr. King when he does his speeches. This is not Martin Luther King Day, but there's never a bad time to spotlight the beautiful words. And I just do really commend all of the work that both YG and Dion are doing, who are not just sitting by and waiting for other people to do something. So when we come back, it'll be Gerald Rivers as Dr. Martin Luther King on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned into Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. And as promised, I'm going to bring you a friend of mine, an amazing actor, voice, everything. Gerald Rivers. Enjoy his Martin Luther King experiences and speeches. Enjoy.
I'm going to give you a little background on Gerald C. Rivers. He's a multi-talented actor, voiceover artist, teacher, master African drummer, and inspirational speaker. Classically trained Shakespearean actor, didn't know that, is also a voiceover artist for well-known video games as the World of Warcraft and the voice of M. Bison in the Disney Academy Award nominated 3D animated film Wreck-It Ralph. Gerald has been a noted scholar and orator on the words and works of Dr. King for the past 30 years and created several shows which highlight some of Dr. King's lesser known speeches speeches, since Dr. King has a lot more to say than I have a dream. Gerald was honored by the Center for Advancement of Nonviolence when they recognized his work and bestowed upon him their Season for Nonviolence Local Hero Award. Without further ado, please welcome back Gerald Rivers.
Well, thank you for having me. It's truly a joy and a pleasure to be here.
It is. It always is. So I thought we would do a little something different because you've been on, this is your third time, and we've never really talked about you. Like, who are you and what do you want? Those are the questions that come from an answering machine, not a questioning machine. And specifically, I didn't know until I did research this time about your whole from Compton and that story. So take me back to how it all started with you.
You know, it's interesting because for a long time, I did not want to really talk about that story. And with my work in the prisons and in homeless shelters and rehab centers and detention facilities for youth, often they would ask questions and it would come up. And in that environment, I felt it okay to share. But then people started to say, we know that you're the voice of Martin Luther King, but we want to know your story. And so I grew up in Compton in the late 70s, early 80s, which coincides with the rise of crack cocaine and Crips and Bloods. What most people, and they weren't Bloods back then, they were Pyrus is how they started. From a street in Compton that's called Pyru, and a group of relatives that banded together to combat the Crips. The original Crips, most people don't know, was a branch of the Black Panther Party. And Bunchy Carter had come down from Oakland and set up a chapter of the Black Panther Party in Compton. And that CRIP was an acronym for a community revolution in progress. Part of what happened was Bunchy Carter was murdered, assassinated at a conference at UCLA. And the Crips were led to believe that it was a quote-unquote rival gang. It wasn't until many years later that it came out that it was the FBI or CIA or COINTELPRO that had orchestrated the murder of this leader. Now, here's what happened next, and this is the time that I grew up in. There was a time when there were older Black men in the community, some of which who had been to prison, some of which who had been a part of the Black Muslim movement, some of which who had been part of the Black Panther movement, who were teaching young men in the community how to be men, how to take care of themselves and their families and to protect the women and children, and to eliminate the need for a police presence in their community. But those men strategically were removed and put into prison, and some of them wound up strung out on drugs. So it left an enormous vacuum. You had all of these young people, and you go back to Tookie Williams and the folks who were coming up then. All of a sudden, we had no leadership, but we had some skills. Most of the skills were designed to help us protect ourselves and our community. So we learned how to handle weapons. We learned how to fight.
How old were you then?
13, 14
Early
years
teens.
old. Once the vacuum happened and all the leaders who were teaching were removed, then you have a group of kids who feel like they have some sense of power but don't know what to do with it. Ironically enough, we use the term crib to describe our home. And that was born out of the Crips, who all of the adults had left, and we left these children at home in a crib alone. And it was supposed to be a place of safety and nurturing, but meanwhile, we know that once you remove essential resources, including male positive role models, then things start to deteriorate relatively rapidly. And so then
Lao Tzu, a Chinese philosopher, says, in the absence of greatness, pettiness prevails.
Exactly.
So
and when you have pubescent teens who are sort of feeling their oats and nobody to rein them in, you have a recipe for chaos and potential disaster. And so anyway, by the time I was 16, I did not enjoy high school. It was not challenging to me, so I really didn't go to school. So my days comprised of leaving home like I was going to get on the bus, and then once my mom went to work, we all went right back home. And she was a single female-headed household, and she couldn't afford to leave work to come home to see what we were doing. And so we would come home, and our friends and our associates would gather at one home or another, and we would play cards and dominoes and participate in things that weren't the healthiest for us, let us just say.
Yes.
And by the time I got to what should have been my senior year in high school, a couple of significant things happened. And this is the turning point, or one of them, because there have been many, and
Absolutely.
there continue
That's
to be.
what life is.
In my life, my best friend was murdered in his front yard, and I was on my way to his house. And the only thing that prevented me from being there was I had a flat on my 10-speed bike. And at the time, we had an inner tube. They don't make them quite the same way anymore. But you would take the inner tube out and you would soak it in water to see where the air was being released. You would use rubber cement and a scratcher and a lighter, and you would burn.
Patch it together.
You would patch it together. Every time I seemed to patch one hole, I would discover that there was another one. So I never made it that day. Those were really my guides and my protectors, preventing me from being there because there was something else I was supposed to do. But that affected me profoundly because here's somebody I'd known since I was in kindergarten, and I haven't given anybody that label of my best friend since then, really out of a sense of fear and sadness at times, that when you have one of those, they go away and the loss and the pain is far too great. The second thing that happened was my dad was involved in an automobile accident where he was not involved in a police chase, but he got caught in the crossfire in an intersection of a high-speed police chase in Los Angeles, created an 8-car pileup, and left my dad paralyzed to this day. And so right after my best friend is killed, I've got to go see my dad in the hospital in full-body traction with a halo and screws going into his skull. That, too, it shook
Blew your
me
mind.
to my core. My dad and I weren't even that tight or close. But to see him in that condition, it really began to beg the question of what is my world coming to?
Why am I still alive? What is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing?
Right. So I've been acting since I was 6. I just knew it was something I wanted to do.
Because you're so shy.
I tell people, really, I am. You put a microphone in front of me or you put me on stage and that's fine.
Yeah.
But when it comes to you put me in a room with an individual who just wants to have a conversation, sometimes I don't know what to say. So I have to talk about the peace, the love, the positivity, the joy, the prosperity, because to talk about me would seem boring or unimportant. But I had already been training and acting, and I got involved in a show that was called Voices of America, and they were touring the country with prominent American voices. And one of the voices in the show was Martin Luther King. Now, at that time, I'd been studying at a conservatory, and you had to sing, dance, and act, because they told you, as a black performer, you've got to be a triple threat or you're never going to make it in this industry. So I got in the show and I was singing and dancing, and another actor was playing Martin Luther King, but he was also playing Malcolm X and I believe Frederick Douglass. And I just thought, he doesn't need to play all three. He's got room for something. So in my own way, I prayed and meditated, and it became clear to me all of the other possible options fell away, that I was to pursue Martin Luther King. So my grandmother had record albums that she let me listen to of King's speeches, and I started hearing the cadence, the pitch, the volume, the rhythm, the approach with which he handled text and material, and it was like music. He had this really beautiful way of putting words together.
He does.
So as an actor and someone who had an appreciation of words and language, I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And the irony is I had to get permission from my probation officer in order to go on tour with this company. And the people who came out on my behalf before a judge and the probation department to say, give this young man a chance. We know he's been in trouble. We know he's got affiliations, is what they called it.
Oh, okay.
We know he's
Can I be curious and ask you why you were in?
I grew up in Compton, and Compton's only 5 miles wide and 7 miles long. When you're between the ages of 12 and 16, and that's all you see, you believe that every teenager on the face of the planet has an existence like that. And so it was my world. It was my existence. And there was an opportunity for me to excel in that particular hierarchy because we were already poor. We were already angry, and few of us were actually afraid of dying. And so it was almost like
we're not afraid.
We're not afraid of dying.
Okay.
Well, no, few were actually afraid.
Oh, okay.
Because our situation already appeared so bleak, and then you would watch television and you would see the Brady Bunch in these situations that were so starkly different from our reality that anything would be better than this.
Right.
So we were willing to risk life and liberty. And we knew people who had gone to jail and got out, and in our minds, our perception was they were fine.
Right.
So if
It's not
if
big of a
that's
deal.
what happened to you, you would survive that as well. I now
Not a
know.
return.
Right. I now know even death. If that happened to you, the truth is we would survive that as well. But there was nothing to fear, and there was a community, and it's almost like being in the military. There's a camaraderie that builds among young men who are willing to fight. And I think about it now, that's the only time in my life where there were a group of people, no matter where they came from, who I knew were willing to sacrifice their freedom and their life for my honor. Not just to protect my physical being, but if someone spoke ill of me, those people would come to my defense, even if it meant their own demise. And so there was something about that was very bonding. You know, the ace coom boom, your womb to the tomb. People that you knew since you were small kids, and now you were gently becoming men because you were being forced to grow up so rapidly that it seemed
the power
cool
of that
and the
connection
thing to do.
That power of belonging to something.
Because otherwise you really felt like you were out there by yourself. And there were some people in the hood who were not prone to join gangs, but if another rival gang or neighborhood knew that that's where you lived and they approached you or attacked you, you sort of had a choice. I can go to the people in my neighborhood and say, they hurt me, they violated me. And those guys would come to my aid, but then I would be eternally indebted to them. Because they would say the next time another person is in trouble or is wronged or is brutalized, you then have an obligation to come to their aid as well. So you make a choice about whether or not you're even going to ask for help from your neighbor, because there is a price to pay.
And this is why I wanted to talk about this, because you've taken all of those experiences and now you are so interested in helping the youngin.
Oh, here.
In the jail system, as well as in
the
neighborhood.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the most important thing that a teenager who is being raised, or that's all they see, that limited amount, and that's what it is, what do you say to them now?
That you have everything you need already inside of you. That there's nothing that your mom or the neighborhood or the community can give you that you don't already have. And once you realize that you did not come to the planet Earth to get anything, but you came to release what is within you, it is what will liberate you. Then there's nothing that those other people, enemies, friends, foes, whatever label you give them, that will have power and dominion over you. And that's really what we want: freedom, and we want power and dominion over our own lives. So and most of those young men that I've talked to are saying, you know, my mom this or my dad is really angry or upset, or my teachers don't respect me, or the people at the church act like they're better than me. And all of that is dealing with things that are outside of yourself. So once you start to deal with what's in me that is presenting that perception for myself, then I can start to heal and deal with that. And then it doesn't matter where I am.
Right.
And I've met people from Compton all over the world. And so that environment.
Out of Compton.
Oh, yeah. That environment.
Straight out of
Compton. Has created and built some really strong individuals. Because part of what it says is if I can handle and deal with this, I can handle and deal with anything.
Yeah.
I survived. I got out. And here's the important part. I will still go back. It's one thing when we go, I can't wait until I'm away from here and I'll never be back here again.
Right.
It's something else when I go back every year to the senior center. And my mom, my dad, my brothers, my aunts, and they all still live in Compton. I don't choose to live there, but I have no fear or qualms about visiting and supporting the people who still live there.
Yeah, and for that, you get Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award. Because it's, I've had a interesting past as well, and people say to me sometimes you really don't need to revisit that because you're keeping that vibration alive. And I do understand what they're talking about, and they're doing it because they love me and want to protect me. At the same time, I believe that in life we all go through what we go through, and the key to happiness is getting up and alchemizing through whatever we go through, because then what happens is we have something that when we talk about it, like you're talking about what happened, people will relate, and they go, okay, they do get me. I'm not alone. I haven't been the only one that's gone through this. He does know, and he has a way out, and he's telling me to look within. And that is why Gerald Rivers is on my show today. If you've just tuned in, he is about to get up now and do a little Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. for us over there on that mic while I set you up. And this is his third time on. We're celebrating and acknowledging the words of peace, the words of love, the words of nonviolence as he prepares to speak. And I didn't ask him this time for a particular part of Dr. Martin Luther King's words, because it's whatever he needs to. And we've had past shows where I did ask for I Have a Dream. But one of the things we realized today is Dr. Martin Luther King is way more than just I have a dream. So if you want peace of heart and peace of mind, just take a little breath, gently close your eyes, and listen to the words.
The dilemma and the challenge facing the Negro today. You will remember that it was in the year of 1619 when the first Negro slaves landed on the shores of this great nation. They were brought here from the soils of Africa, and the Negro lived amid this system of slavery for 244 years. For all of these years, he was a thing to be used, and not a person to be respected. And even after slavery ended, the Negro realized that he was confronting a new type of slavery, because racial segregation is nothing but slavery covered up with certain niceties of complexity. Now, in spite of the fact that we have lived with physical slavery 244 years, in spite of the fact that we have lived with segregated conditions for almost 100 years, the demands of history require that we be as productive, as resourceful, and as responsible as the people who never had these disadvantages. Here we are as a people, having experienced political domination economic exploitation, segregation, and humiliation for well now 344 years. And yet, the demands of history require that we be as productive and as resourceful as the people who never had these experiences. This is our dilemma. But this dilemma is at one and the same time a great challenge. We are challenged to mobilize our resources. We are challenged to mobilize all of the constructive forces that we can muster and make a creative contribution in the life of our nation. And I would like to suggest this afternoon some of the things that we must do to grapple with this dilemma and meet the challenge of the hour. First of all, we must develop and maintain a sense of dignity and self-respect. We must not allow anybody or any force to make us feel that we do not count. We must believe in our souls that we are worthful, that we are somebody, that we are significant, and we must walk the streets of life every day with this sense of dignity and this sense of somebodyness.
Yes. Beautiful. Yes, we do. Amen, and so it is. That was powerful. That was Gerald C. Rivers, who embodies and practices and speaks the words of Dr. Martin Luther King in such a way that brings him back to life in a way, and is just powerful. Thank you so much. That was amazing. That's a new one. That's a new.
You know, there's literally dozens of speeches that I have committed to memory, and they're more than memory. They are
internalized,
an embodiment of who I have become. And so it gives me the unique ability to go into any event or situation without a predetermined, oh, this is the speech I'm going to do, this is the right one. So that is born directly out of the conversation that we're having. And I have to remind people that Dr. King was not fighting for race. Race was an obstacle for us getting to the bigger issues. And he just needed to get that out of the way so we could get to more important stuff, because people were so hung up on it. So even in this particular speech, if you remove the word Negro and you place any race, group, gender of people, and you fill in the spaces with what they've been challenged with, the answer is still the same.
Interesting.
Even in this day and time, in this political climate, he's really saying, don't let somebody else make you feel that you don't count.
Right.
And there's more where that came from if you want to listen to more of Gerald Rivers. He has been on my show 3 times, different speeches. They're all on my YouTube channel. Please enjoy those. Incredible voice, incredible beingness. He brings Dr. Martin Luther King alive. I hope you enjoyed them. And that's it for another scintillating episode of Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind. That was show number 580. And you know how much I love 8s. So, of course, it's a special one. And this is Dr. Marissa reporting live from her living room during the pandemic, reminding you that it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out, world peace. through inner peace. Have the best weekend ever.